Do you like pop culture?
I do.
I wasn't talking to you, Andrew.
Aw.
If you enjoy movies, television, all that kind of stuff, we have a lot of fun on Sif Pop Podcast, part of the Studio DNA Podcast Network. So you can come check us out every week. You can listen live or just download it to your podcast feed.
Every single week, Aaron breaks down the newest movies that are big in theaters, and I make funny noises. You could probably pick one of those that you would like. You can join us every weekend live by looking at Spreaker.com/StudioDNA, or you can find us in your podcast player of preference by searching for Sift Pop.
Welcome, everybody, to episode 7 of Disney Plus Reviews, and we are reviewing episode 6 of The Mandalorian today. I'm one of your co-hosts, Phil Souza, and I'm joined by my good friend, co-host, and the guy who starts every conversation by saying, Misa's name is Jack Jack. It's Jack Altermat. How you doing today,
gosh,
Jack?
I wonder if you're a Gungan under that mask, that helmet. Phil, we've been doing this podcast now. What episode is this?
It's our 7th episode.
Episode 7, and I've yet to see your face under there. You have really bought into this. I'm a Mandalorian now, and this is the way.
This is the way.
This is the way. But I'm glad to be here. This episode of The Mandalorian this week is an interesting one.
Yeah.
The first one, that there was this weird, I'm going to say it this way, you can say it however you want, a weird non-momentum.
Yeah.
Like, it was like, if you ever watched, 24 or Buffy or any long show, Firefly, if it hadn't got canceled mid-season, you come to these episodes that are the main characters are out, on a trip to the mall, or
right.
They're out, Jerry Seinfeld's car shopping this episode, or blah, blah, blah. And you're like, oh, well, okay. Side mission. I think the season's almost over. How many more episodes are there?
2. There's only 2 more episodes after this one.
And so you're like, you kind of went to this weird neutral, put it in neutral and glide. I like the content of the episode, but I was surprised that there was no real forward momentum taken, unless they're going to build out what you saw. The rebels were. I mean, we'll get to that, but
yeah. So before we get too much further, let's make sure people know that this is a spoiler. All of our episodes are spoiler episodes.
Sorry, guys. I didn't mean to tell you that.
No, that's fine. We didn't get into anything too terribly spoiler.
I didn't mean to tell you that, the Mandalorian is actually a Gungan out there.
But yeah, we are an unofficial Disney Plus podcast. If you're listening to us for the first time, we're reviewing the most popular stuff on Disney Plus, that service. This first season of our show basically is all about The Mandalorian. That's pretty much exclusively what we're talking about right now. We will occasionally get onto other topics about other things around Disney Plus. Usually at the end of the episode, we'll talk about that. And as soon as The Mandalorian is over, basically here in a couple weeks, by the end of December, it'll be over. We'll move on to some other content that's on Disney Plus. Eventually, probably getting into a Marvel show or another Star Wars show,
or The Descendants.
Yeah. Anything. I'm up for anything. We have an email address if you want to write into the show. That is disneyplusreviews, PLUS, all spelled out, disneyplusreviews@hotmail.com. And basically what we do...
hot.
It's a hot mail.
Oh, my gosh. Hey, can I hand this to you, Phil? Okay. I'm handing you the mail.
Oh, that's too hot.
It's hot.
Too hot to handle. Yeah, basically what we do every week is we recap the Mandalorian episode. Again, this really is kind of a Mandalorian show for right now until the Mandalorian's over. Talk about our favorite moments from the episode, present our questions, thoughts, and predictions for upcoming episodes, and then at the end we usually sprinkle in some conversation about other stuff that we're watching on Disney Plus. But let's so spoilers abound. You have been warned. We're going to get into the spoilers of episode 6. Let's start with the end of episode 5. So the end of episode 5, where we last left our hero, and the last conversation that we had on this podcast was, who is this mysterious guy in the boots, right? In the stirrups.
Wonderful.
Do we learn anything about this person?
No.
In
In fact, this episode, think about it this way, Phil. This episode starts out, he lands on this mysterious... I thought at first it was a ship, but then it pans back and it's a
like a space station.
Space station, yeah.
Yeah.
And then you realize, like, well, where is he coming from? Where's he going to? This is a guy, he's a bearded guy. He's in Sons of Anarchy.
Oh, okay.
He
looks familiar to me.
He's
but
been in a lot of stuff.
I haven't seen Sons of Anarchy. I think isn't he in the Dark Knight movies?
Yes, he is one of the bad cops. He's Bullock. I think he's actually the new Bullock.
Harvey Bullock.
Yeah, who is a kind of in the animated series is the first time you met Harvey Bullock.
Yeah.
Or was he in the old Michael Keaton Batman? I'm saying that character Bullock. Anyway, long story short,
yeah.
This guy played that character in the Batman trilogy. He also was in Sons of Anarchy. And then here he is, bearded. He and Mando apparently have a long history together because Mando lands his ship. You have any work for me? Turns out I've got some work for you, just like old times. I'm not going on this trip, though. It's going to be this character, Bill Burr, comedian Bill Burr. Have you listened to Bill Burr's comedy?
No.
He works blue, my friend.
Oh, really?
He works blue. I love him.
Okay.
But he is not for children.
Okay.
Like
interesting.
You know how Jim Gaffigan?
I would have never got that from his character.
Jim Gaffigan and gosh, he is stiff. When he says some stuff, you're always like, whoa. Anyway,
this episode definitely has quite the cast, but talk about a diversion from where the season has been headed. Like every single episode, even the episode where they went to, can't remember the name of the planet, but where like the ATST was there and stuff like that. That episode kind of felt like a diversion from the main overarching plot, but it still served it. And there was plenty of stuff about the child. We've pretty much abandoned all things about the child. There's one scene with the child in this episode, which is kind of interesting that we'll talk about. The amount of minutes on screen that the Mandalorian... I want to kind of talk about the episode in general and we'll get into the plot, but like if you counted the minutes, because there's like 40 actual minutes to this episode minus the beginning intro and outro, maybe 38. I would say he's like maybe on screen for 20 minutes of that show is really weird.
And it does, this episode... This is
a weird episode.
Well, and it does some really weird things. Like it changes tone a couple times. And not bad. So like, I'm not saying this is a bad episode.
No.
It is just out of the blue though. And it could have started, you could have placed this episode at the time, as soon as they left the first planet, when they're running away from Carl Weathers and the, what's the guild? The
Bounty Hunters.
I almost said Assassin's Creed. The Assassin's Creed, the Bounty Hunters Guild. As soon as they left, you could have shoved this episode there. You could have shoved it it's like they filmed it and said, okay, this episode has nothing to do with anything other than these are the two characters, and we're just gonna plop them here. He didn't really make any friends per se this episode.
No.
To add to his But you have this theory that he is going to end up with not a ship full of people, but some people on his side. So he's got
the Avengers basically.
Yeah. Well, at least a team that can back him up.
Yeah.
You've got the lady former shock trooper. What's her name?
Cara Dune.
Yes.
Yeah.
And her. You have the I Have Spoken guy. Is it Ugnaught?
Yeah, and I'm not so sure about him because he
wants to be on that planet.
He doesn't want to leave that planet.
And then you have all the other Mandalorians, but no one you met in this, other than knowing that Baby Yoda is a lot shiftier than you thought he was. Like he has.
I will say this:
does he have the ability to just disappear and reappear?
I don't know.
He does some weird stuff, like because.
Yeah. We do. That's right. We do see quite a bit about his abilities in this episode.
That's kind of the biggest payoff.
It's confined to like 2 minutes, maybe.
Yeah.
Max of the entire running time. But
it goes from being a heist show.
Yeah.
To then becoming a horror movie.
Alien.
Yes. The lights get red.
Yeah.
And they're like, now they think they've trapped him, and they become the hunted.
Yeah.
And that's cool. But where, like, they just dropped this out of nowhere.
Yeah,
weird.
I want to talk about more about this when we get to the end of the plot. But yeah,
I know
it's fine. This is a weird episode. I'm with you. I think we're in agreement though. It's not a bad episode. I feel like I could be really negative on that episode and come off like I think it's bad.
And that's why I said what I said. Like, like it's not a bad episode.
No.
I just don't understand where it fits in all this.
It's where I came. Like if you were to ask me, like, what would you grade this? Whatever, I would say good, not great. Like it's not great like the other episodes have been, but it wasn't bad. It was a good episode.
Yeah.
It just wasn't great like all the other. Here's the problem. We've been spoiled so much on this show. Like this show has been, from episode 1, has been stellar. Every episode has been amazing.
Right.
And so you throw in an episode like this, and it, by comparison, it feels like a bad episode.
Yeah.
But it's not. It's better than most things on television.
What I like, though, I will say this: what I like is, boy, if they don't do anything in the next 2 episodes, like if they don't have a huge reveal or a huge thing in the next episode, I think people will be like, "What?"
Yeah.
So now. They have to do something big in episode, what is this, episode
7?
7?
Yeah.
And they have to do something even more massive in episode 8.
Yeah.
It's just this weird episode that, like, again, it wasn't bad. The people in it and the characters in it were nice to add to it.
Yeah.
The horn guy with the horns that's freakishly strong, that was
Burg.
really cool to watch.
Yeah,
Burg.
I did like Burg. Honestly,
Zero, the droid pilot,
I
was
kind of
cool.
liked all the characters.
I did too.
Let's get into that. So,
Yeah.
I guess we can kind of maybe skip some of the intro stuff to the episode, but he lands on the space station. Quickly, we're introduced to Ran, which is this character from Sons of Anarchy and
the
Dark
actor
Knight. All that stuff.
Yeah.
He obviously is there for money. Like he wants to take a job, and this is basically like a off the grid, like maybe a competitor to the Bounty Hunters Guild. In fact, he talks about competitors at one point. Rand does at one point in the episode. He basically, I mean, very quickly, like 2 minutes in the episode, we know what the job is. Like, there's an associate. That's all we learn. An associate of Rand's that has been captured and needs help, and he's basically building a team, kind of Ocean's 11 style. Of like, okay, we've got four people on board. I need a 5th, and we need a vehicle. And so then we basically get right into kind of the characters from there. So we meet Mayfeld. I thought it was Mayfield at first, but I think it's Mayfeld, who's basically like the point man on the job. Then
played by Bill Burr.
Okay, yeah, that's Bill Burr. Then a Devaronian, which I wasn't familiar with.
Okay, so the Devaronian, the first time you see a Devaronian is actually, I believe it's in Mos Eisley Cantina in A New Hope.
Okay.
Because he's one of the creatures that they kind of pan around.
Yeah.
And it's just like, it looks like a devil.
It looks like
big
a
horns.
demon, yeah.
This thing is massive, though. He's real big.
Yeah. And what was the one in A New Hope also big?
He looked like a devil. And I just remember being my son's age and being like, whoa. Is this the devil?
They probably didn't show as much of his body in that shot. Yeah.
But this guy's massive.
He has horns, basically. Then there's a droid, which I was not expecting a droid character again. Like IG-11, we had that character, but like this is a full-on droid character.
But we know
this
in Star Wars, like in this universe, man, droids are huge. Like they're a large part of the population. They're a large part of things getting done.
Yeah.
I mean, we've seen a ton of droids in this show already. I mean, just a ton of them.
And honestly, if you want to talk about just this episode, there's an entire ship manned by nothing but droids, which is interesting.
Right, because they go to this prison ship and they think that it's not going to be any humans, just droids.
Yeah.
Which, how about that one guy that's on...
I know. I felt so bad.
What a horrible life!
How lonely is this guy?
God.
Then we meet probably the most depth character is Xi'an. Who's this female Twi'lek. She's, if you've seen the original trilogy, she's basically like the slave girl for Jabba, like her race, the Twi'leks.
Yes.
So they have like it's not horns really. It's like almost like ears, long.
Yeah, long.
It's not ears. I mean, it's like off the top of her head, but they hang down low.
Ahsoka she's not Ahsoka's not a Twi'lek, but she has those long ears, those long.
Oh.
Things.
Yeah, maybe
they're not tentacles, but they're long, whatever they are. I don't think she is.
She's really slimy and dark.
But
I kind of like her character.
It's the second reference to Twi'lek people. Carl Weathers' character told him to go, hey, just go to the Twi'lek spa, and it's overacting part of the second episode.
Yeah.
And forget about your troubles, Mando.
Go sit in the sauna for a little bit.
Yeah.
Upon seeing her, he threatens to kill her immediately. He's like, I should kill you where you stand. So obviously they have some history. There's a lot of history.
A lot of tension here.
A lot of history with several of the characters, actually. And then not too long after that, Zero is like the wheelman for this heist that they're doing. And Zero finds
kind of a psycho droid, though. Like, he does some stuff where you're like...
Yeah.
He doesn't really... Like, he lands at, like, fast.
Yeah.
He goes at a fast speed. All things he does are efficient. That's what I liked about his character. Because he's, like, very robotic and, like, I'm in charge and this is what we're doing. Well, like, when we land.
One of the things that I think people love about droids in the Star Wars universe, as opposed to other properties and stuff that have, like, robot type entities, in Star Wars, all the droids are very human, but they all have a little quirk that makes them really funny.
Yeah.
So like, C-3PO just can't stop running his mouth. Like, he's just like, a chatterbox and always saying stuff that gets him into trouble and stuff like that. R2-D2 is like, like beep, boop, 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 beep, but like is a helper. Like, he's always trying to get behind the scenes and get,
Right.
And then you've had like
BB-8, same thing.
Little things like that make each droid unique. This droid's kind of quirk is that he's constantly talking about how much smarter that he is than everyone else, which I thought that was really funny. Kind of a running gag there, but yeah, he comes across the transmission, like a recording of the Mandalorian, or I'm sorry, Grief, speaking to the Mandalorian about, hey, when you get back to the planet, deliver the cargo, blah blah blah. Whatever. He's like, cargo, like what's going on here? So he starts to investigate that pretty early on in the episode. That pays off later. They do some talking on the ship for a while just to kind of figure out what's going on, and then that's when we learn that this isn't just a simple rescue mission. Like, I think he thought that they were probably just going to like a planet somewhere to like pick up this guy that got captured by some ne'er-do-well people or whatever.
Right.
He's like, okay, this is a prison ship. We're doing a prison break. This is
a rebel prison ship.
Yeah. So there's some other exchanges. That's where the whole exchange about the gun thing is. I thought that was really funny. The Jar Jar Binks thing.
I think so too.
There's some talk about his helmet. There's a lot of talk in this episode about his helmet. Like, all of the characters want to see what he looks like underneath the helmet, which is interesting. I feel like they've made a lot about that. Like, on like every other episode, they're talking about that quite a bit. But I feel like they've never talked about it more than they did in this episode. Like you said, they land kind of rough, and then they're on the Republic ship. So, talk about that. Talk about the Republic ship.
They land
a new Republic
on this porthole thing that no can open up. They have to. The computer has to log in and get things printed. Get him into it to unlock it. Mando is good at getting things unlocked, so he helps him get unlocked. Mando hops in first. And then they all hop down in a group. Mando kind of leads the way. Actually, no, the big Gigantor, Devaronian or whatever his name is.
Burg,
Yeah, Burg leads the way. Then these really cool-looking droids that are on patrol, they kind of look like Cylons from Battlestar Galactica. And they kind of walk up, and they're like, basically, just start shooting because nothing else is supposed to be out on this frigate or whatever.
Yeah.
And so then they hide a little bit.
And they're pretty ominous. Like, when you think of droids with guns, you think of like the Separatists.
Yeah, these are not battle droids.
Yeah.
Roger. These are not that. These are like killer droids.
These are legit droids. Yeah.
Again, they're the rebel droids, so
right.
The rebel droids are going to be
good.
Better. Yeah, they're better. For some reason. Weird. They don't have many. But the ones they have are very good.
Well, it's iOS 11.0 is what they're running. So.
Wow. Welcome to the nerdery. So they attack these droids. One of them makes a comment, I thought you were supposed to be so good. Why don't you show us what you can do? Well, so Mando then proceeds to sneak in behind them and just destroy all 5 of these droids.
I never get tired of those scenes, honestly.
No, and they all the bad guys.
He uses his whole arsenal again.
All the bad guys that he's helping are like, oh, wow. Like, they're like, yikes. And they know he's a threat. He's a Mandalorian, and not only that, he is the Mandalorian that basically has done all the things he's done to this point. And his reputation, I think, is starting to get around a little bit that we're not going to you shouldn't fool this guy, even though, what do these morons do? They fool with this guy.
Yeah.
And then eventually they get what's coming to them. Anyway, they get to the hold that they have to get to. And then they...
Like the cell?
The cell, okay. Yeah. And then they get this other Twi'lek out who turns out is the brother
Xi'an.
And his name is Quinn.
Yeah.
And he's kind of a doof. Like he's like,
he was the character in this episode I just did not like. Like, and not from a like, oh, we're supposed to, we love to hate this guy.
You know what he reminded me of?
He's a bad character.
He's a bad character, and you know what he reminded me of? A character from Power Rangers.
Okay.
This is like a character that they would doll up in an outfit and trot him out and be like, "Hey, Red Ranger!" And you're like, God, stop talking.
I felt like he was maybe a little poorly acted. It's hard to tell.
Too.
We didn't get to see him on screen. I
can't find a good cast roster on this episode, so I don't know exactly who was under that. It was probably Jamie Foxx. We're probably saying that, and it's like he's a horrible actor. Oh, it was never mind.
It's like one of the best actors.
Oh, it was Morgan Freeman. So then they
can I say something about the ship?
Absolutely, of course.
The ship from moment zero that they come like out into the ceiling from the ship and drop down. The ship looks so awesome. Like the sets on this episode are some of the best sets we've seen on the entire thing.
Let's tag into that.
Other than Tatooine.
Think about this. This episode will likely win awards for lighting, for the computer graphics, for the set design, for all. This is the episode that will win that. But yet, like it doesn't fit in anywhere of what they've been going at.
Well, and it doesn't. I think we're going to look back on this episode and go that of the 8 episodes that we had, that episode meant the least to the overall story.
It's weird.
But man, they must have spent some money on this episode. Though.
Oh, we didn't get to this point of that. You know they did. It would look like well, what did somebody say? They're spending an average $10 million an episode on this show.
Yeah.
What?
That's a lot.
Think about that.
But I mean, honestly, like I could almost not even tell a difference between this episode and any of the movies. Like that ship looked like
Isn't
a
that
rebel
crazy
ship.
too? Think about that.
Yeah, it was awesome.
That's how you referenced earlier Game of Thrones, and like when we were talking, you referenced this earlier, and like that's how this feels. Like the set design, and the level of intricacies that they use. It's seamless. Like it looks seamless on the things they do.
That's just where we're at now in cinema. Like that TV episodes can be just as polished as anything we see at the theater.
Well, but movies in the 90s didn't do this for the most part.
No.
So
and I'm so glad that we're finally there. Like, can you imagine this? Like this Star Wars series looking like holiday special or something like that.
Yeah, that's what it would look like. I don't know, like a Star Trek Next Generation, even though they did a good job on their set design.
Sure.
That's a bad example. Maybe original series, I don't know.
But you're right. I mean, any 90s TV show, doesn't matter how good the show is, like Next Generation. It's just those shows did not look like movies back then. And they weren't even trying. But now they're obviously trying to do so and pulling it off.
It's nuts.
And there's a lot you can do with CGI now and stuff like that makes it cheaper. But no, I was really impressed with how it looked.
When we left off the one. Okay, they storm into this one control room.
Oh yeah,
they storm in there, and it's a human in there, and it's a rebel human. He's got the half helmet thing on.
Dude, so good.
The people that Darth Vader obliterate in Rogue One.
Yeah,
he's one of those guys, and they're like, oh no, I thought this was just supposed to be droids on this, and he's just like peeing himself because he's like, just put your guns down. And he's like one guy against 4 people. Yeah. They end up circling him up. And they bonk him over the head or kill him. I'm not sure if they kill him or what happened.
Keeping with the cowboy theme of this entire series, they do a Mexican standoff scene, which is so great to watch. And then everyone's pointing their guns at each other and shouting and just looking in every direction. But I just love that. And then eventually Xi'an, I think, just throws a knife at him, like, hey, enough talk. Like
that is probably what happened. She throws knives, by the way.
Which I like that. Like,
it's different than a blaster.
This series has been, Star Wars in general has been a lot of either shoot or sword, like lightsaber.
Yes.
And we're starting to see like a greater range of weapons and stuff like that. I know like Chewie's always had like his crossbow or what, like there's been some variations, but it's fun to see like more melee combat that's not lightsabers, and then like just throwing projectiles. Yes. I really wish that I feel like we're not going to see the whistling. What is this? Whistling.
He shot a few of them on this episode and missed all 6 of them or whatever it was.
Whistling birds.
Yeah.
They go off at one point, but he didn't actually fire them at anyone. But the flamethrowers, like we're seeing some like really
5 for 6
stuff
on episodes with the flamethrower. By the way,
yeah,
last episode we did not see it.
We had a non-flamethrower.
5 for 6 on episodes. He loves that flamethrower.
But yeah, anyway, she kills him, and then yeah, that's the part we skipped. Then they actually go to the cell after that and break him out. Immediately within seconds, we figure out, okay, this is the backstory between Xi'an, Quinn, and the Mandalorian. Apparently, he left him behind on some mission that they took a long time ago.
Yes.
And Xi'an obviously has never forgiven him for doing that to her brother. It's a weird relationship between Quinn and Xi'an, though, because at one point, the Mandalorian, in a cool twist of events, let's first of all, they swap places. So like Quinn comes out, and then they push the Mandalorian in, fire a blaster shot, and he's trying to deflect that, and the cell door closes, and now he's locked in the cell, and they're just going to leave him behind now.
But one segue earlier, go back to the humanoid guy, the rebel. The guy that's in charge, the human that's in charge of this base.
Yeah.
He has a distress box.
Oh, right.
And if it's basically, they do a good job of giving you the information, which is really funny. Like they're like, oh, it's a rebel distress box, and if you hit that button, the rebels will come and just blow this up.
Yeah.
Like they're literally like, it's like,
and we're going to have 20,
you hit this button,
20 minutes and 0 seconds to figure it out.
And they just blow up everything, which I think is kind of fun that the rebels are like, things are so messed up, so foobarred beyond recognition, that we're just going to come in and blow up
the
thing.
ship. Yeah, the entire ship.
Which is crazy.
Yeah, it's anyway. A little crazy, but
so that's how bad of dudes are on this. That's how bad these prisoners are on this.
And you
thing.
see a little bit as they're walking down the cell block and stuff like that. You see them left and right, and there's some like really gnarly dudes behind these cell doors. But
there's one Imperial guy, and it's still in an Imperial outfit. There's some randomos, but anyway. Okay, so back to they double cross the Mandalorian. They shove him in the cell. Cell door shuts. And so then they take off, right? What's Mandalorian do after that, though?
I mean, he's in the cell for like 2 minutes or whatever. He doesn't last very long. One of the droids walks by his cell door, kind of just on patrol type of thing. And I can't remember exactly how. I kind of looked down for a second during the scene, but like he subdues him in some way. I can't remember if he shoots him or shoots a projectile or something through the door.
Yeah.
Somehow, basically rips his arm off, and then like uses his arm to unlock the door, which I thought was a really cool sequence.
Yes. Pretty genius. He's pretty smart. Uses his arm to get the droid key that droids use. R2-D2 has one as well.
Yeah,
and it's just a universal key thing that pops out. And then so he escapes, and from this point on, now it becomes
the hunters have become the hunted.
Psycho or something, or like you said, it's Freddy Krueger is coming to attack, or Alien, or
it felt to me like Alien because they're literally on a spaceship.
Right. Jon Favreau did a good job of he's teeing up that feeling of the hunter has now become the hunted, and they do so many tropes in this thing.
Oh yeah,
a door comes down and separates the group in half.
Yeah,
then the two of them in each group separate out and go their own way.
Yeah,
and so then they're each being chased, or they feel like they're being chased, or they're trying to get off the ship.
Right.
Meanwhile, on the ship, on what's the name of it? The crest, the
Razor Crest.
Razor Crest. Z, is that the name of the
Zero?
They
call him Z for short.
They call him Z. Zero is the pilot, and he has found this transmission from Carl Weathers' character Grief, and so he goes on a search and throughout the ship, and he comes across. They saw the baby earlier. They saw the kid earlier.
Yeah, we skipped over that. Basically right before the landing, they're kind of going through his stuff, like looking at his weapons cache and stuff like that. And then I forget, someone hits a button or something like that, and a door opens, and the compartment that the child evidently sleeps in or lives in or whatever opens up, and they see him there. And actually, at one point. Mayfeld grabs him, picks him up. He's like, "Oh, this, you have a pet. Yeah,
we have a pet."
And then, but that is cut short because of the rough landing. Yeah, and like everyone goes flying. The child gets
Baby Yoda goes
stowed back away and shut, and the door shut, and that's pretty much all we see from that.
Right.
Thing.
But that segues then Zero.
Yeah.
Then starts to walk through the ship. Baby Yoda sees Zero and looks at him, and then he disappears. Because Zero turns around with a blaster at one point to shoot him, and he's gone. Which, again, he moves really fast.
What do you think that means?
Disappears.
Is he literally disappearing from all vision, or is he like just moving really fast?
I think he can move really fast. I mean, think about Yoda. Think about when Yoda was fighting the Emperor on, is that the Revenge of the Sith? He is flipping around, he's flying around. Baby Yoda's got to be able to do that too.
Yeah.
So like, I'm just gonna assume that. I'd love him for him to have teleportation abilities. Wouldn't that be freaking awesome?
I don't know.
Too much for you?
It's not too much for an adult, like a mature Yoda type
Maybe he's a special Yoda.
species, but
Maybe he's special.
it could be. I mean, there's a lot of like Dr. Pershing really wants to get his DNA, so
I would say this to you.
anything's possible.
We never actually saw Yoda in his prime.
That's true.
We never saw him in his prime.
Yeah, he was fairly old even in the
was
prequels.
900 something years old.
Yeah.
In the whole thing, basically, because when he trained Luke, he's that age. He's maybe late 800s, maybe. And so I think that he's pretty old, and maybe he had teleportation device ability.
Yeah.
Think about it, Phil.
That's true.
It's anything's possible. In this
Anything's
world.
possible.
Anything is possible. Or he's just really fast. Probably just really fast. But Baby Yoda then...
He kind of plays around with him a little bit. And
He does.
And then eventually, like, there's this kind of standoff between him and Zero alone.
Yeah.
We think he's alone on the ship. And
we can't get to it yet because we haven't got to that point.
All right.
So Baby Yoda gives him the slip. Meanwhile, back on the Rebel jail ship, the parties they've slowly been hunted. The first one he kills, he didn't kill him.
I thought he was killing them, but until
He-
at the end you find out he didn't kill any of them.
His first one, the Quinn character runs immediately to the hatch. So he's basically out of the loop, or maybe he's with Mayfield the whole time, and then leaves Mayfield at the end.
Yeah.
But the first one he comes after is Devaronian.
I thought he
Burg.
straight up killed Burg.
Because Burg is attacking him. He literally shoots his flamethrower right in Burg's face at one point.
For like more than a couple
and
seconds.
he just fights through it. It doesn't even matter. He's probably from Mustafar, probably. And flames don't hurt him.
Fire
so
doesn't.
he's walking through it. He hits the button on one of the blast doors. It comes down on his head, so you think, that's got to kill him. He then squats that off of his shoulders and power cleans it up, full cleans it up off his shoulders. And then he sticks his head out to go forward, and then he hits the other blast door.
Second door.
And that one, I thought it killed him too, but we find out in the end of the episode, spoiler alert, that it cut off the tips of his horns.
He basically looks like Marvel. Sorry, help me. Hellboy.
Yeah.
Yeah, like clipped horns.
Yeah. So then the next one to be beaten is I don't want to say her name wrong. Xi'an. And he basically ends up. What's he do to her? How does he incapacitate her?
I don't remember.
I don't either. They fought. He probably shoves her. Let's just imagine.
Oh, I remember now. She starts throwing knives at him, and he's dodging them, or they clink off his armor or whatever. And then he gets her in some kind of grapple hold. And then it's not exactly shown on screen, but what I think we're supposed to believe that he shivs her with one of her own knives, like in the side or something like that.
But spoiler alert: in the end, we see her again alive.
Yeah, all of them are alive.
And then what's his face? Mayfield. Ends up. He has a cool gun thing that comes off his backpack.
Yeah, it was pretty
that
cool.
Fires cool, which is neat. It's a kind of a neat thing for him because otherwise he's just a dude with two guns.
Is that a Boba Fett thing? Doesn't he have that?
Isn't that right?
I can't remember. But
I've seen that before with another character. I don't know. Boba Fett has a blaster that comes off and shoots. I don't know. Anyway, so long story short, they fight at the end, and the Mandalorian gets the jump on him at the end and basically just surprises him, knocks him out or whatever, and then you do see him alive at the end as well. Mandalorian then chases down Quinn and says, what's Quinn? Quinn says something to him.
I mean, Quinn basically says, hey, if you kill me, there's no bounty. Like, you're going to get back to the ship and there's going to be no money for you, because the whole point of the mission was to bring him back alive.
Yeah, so he cuffs him up, takes him onto the ship, and then you're led to believe he's taking him on a ship. Segue back to the ship, and Baby Yoda has now hidden in a compartment of some kind. The door opens up, and Zero, the droid, is there with a gun, and he's loading up, getting ready to shoot him. And then Baby Yoda closes his eyes, raises his hand, pointing at Zero, and then there's this huge spark, which I thought he just crushed him.
Yeah, seriously,
like Vader style. And then turns out Mandalorian shot him in the back.
And there's this really cute cut back to Baby Yoda where he looks at his own hand like, did I do that?
Did I do that?
So cute.
Which is a great meme, by the way.
They do such a good job with. He says 0 words so far, at least. He says 0 words in the entire series, just goo-goos and gagas, basically.
Yeah.
But they say so much with his face, like
Yes.
the puppeteering or
His
CGI.
ears, his eyes.
It's so good.
How many times have you seen the meme online of Baby Yoda holding that
The
coffee cup?
it's actually a bowl of
And it's a bowl of
stew or whatever.
bone soup,
Yeah.
basically. And his eyes are big, and he's got a little cloak on. And it's like the meme is me going to me sitting, laying on the couch, watching my shows. Me drinking hot cocoa, just chillaxing.
Yeah. Hashtag chillax.
Hashtag chillax. Anyway, so now we're back on the ship. They end up landing back at the space station of love, wherever this is at. And he comes off the ship, and Mando comes off the ship. Quinn comes off the ship in chains. And what's his nut? The Baby Yoda's not on there, but he's obviously on the ship, but not in this shot. And the main bad guy character goes, "Where are the others?" And he's like, "No questions, right?" He's like, "No questions."
I was amazed that he had that response. Even though he said that line at the beginning of the episode, I was surprised to hear him like literally show no concern or care for any of those people. Like, I mean, that just shows you how down and dirty these guys are.
Well, it really is the Wild
Yes.
West where they're at.
Yeah.
Like they are not.
The only thing that matters is credits.
There are no rules.
Yeah.
And now you think about it this way, they're coming out of a time to be likened a little bit like the American Civil War, where the legend of the Wild West is a lot of legend. I hear this more and more nowadays. It's a lot more legend because there are aspects of it that have been embellished by TV and by movies.
Oh yeah.
So like there was a aspect of parts of the West that are just so vast that you couldn't police them all. And so those parts would have cattle rustling, and those parts would have some gunplay, that sort of thing. But the gunfighters of the Old West were technically the crooks that came out of the Civil War. So like Jesse James gets
right.
He became Jesse James because he could. There was no.
Boy, that's a great analog to
But
this.
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
There's no way to police that. But it wasn't to the level where if you went to San Francisco in the Old West and you're going to have, or maybe it'd be a bad one, Santa Fe or Albuquerque. I mean, think of an old town, an Old West town.
Yeah.
And Dodge City, Kansas, where every day is a freaking gunfight in the street. That's not the case.
That
Like
wasn't how it
historically,
was,
that's
yeah.
not how it was. But that's how this is, where it's this vast galaxy where there was a malevolent. Look, think about it this way: Hitler's Nazi Party was in charge of the entire galaxy.
Yeah.
I mean, that's literally what Emperor Palpatine was.
Yeah.
I mean, it's hardcore, crush you under his boot. Vader was his henchman. You don't have, the rules are we are in charge and there's nothing you can do about it. And so now that has been taken away. And so now there's these other parts of the galaxy that are like.
Well, it's left a tremendous void. And
Yeah.
even 5 years later, the New Republic is not filling that void with like necessarily the best stuff. Like,
Right.
I mean, that there's always going to be people that don't care about human life and that want to, basically selfishly take whatever they can.
Yes.
And just kind of scrape through life. And so there are planets and areas of space and stuff like that, ships and whatnot,
Yeah.
where people just, kind of take over. It's mob style.
Yeah, it's so huge that they can't.
You
can't be
you can't
policed.
control everything.
Local authorities are the only ones to take care of it. This space station literally is just sitting out in space, and it's the thug space station.
Yeah.
It's so weird to think about, but
Yeah.
no one's coming there. So anyway,
And it almost seems like the New Republic allows it to a certain degree. Like they just don't. They can't quell every rebellious group or whatever. And so
the
they don't even
rebels
care.
aren't as big of
They've got bigger fish to fry.
and the rebels aren't as big of a force as the Imperials were, and so they can't police. It's weird.
No, and they're honestly they're probably spending a lot of their time just setting up this new government.
Yeah.
And,
But even Tatooine back in the day, it didn't have the checks. I mean, Jabba the Hutt was still being Jabba the Hutt on Tatooine, and the bounty hunters were still a thing back then.
Right.
I mean, that's why we know about Boba Fett was because
Vader employed him basically.
yeah, but there were apparently there's tons of them, so he employed a bunch of them and said, okay, go find Luke Skywalker, basically, right? Wasn't that who they're after?
Han Solo.
Han Solo.
Yeah.
Right. Me so sorry.
Misa forgot.
Misa.
And then, so the very last thing that happens in the episode is, it's again kind of a twist ending, which I think most of the episodes have had some kind of a big reveal at the end.
Yeah.
He delivers Quinn to Ran and takes his payment, which it looks like quite a bit. I mean, basically kind of what he got last time. And flies off, and you think, okay, he's riding off into the sunset, so to speak.
Yeah.
And there's two big reveals, so like a kind of a flip turn, twice over. So Ran says, as soon as the Mandalorian flies off, he says, "Go shoot his ship out of the sky."
Yes.
And so they start, this like battle ship or whatever starts coming out of the floor, and then you hear the beep sounds. You're like,
yes.
Oh no.
Yes.
So he's double crossed the double crossers at this point.
Yes.
And has left the tracking beacon on Quinn's body. He's like in his pocket or something like that. And they're like, oh crap. And so like at this point it's been 20 minutes and they're now coming to this location and not the prison ship.
Yes.
And obviously shoot them out of the sky. But Jack, what are the vehicles? What are the ships? The fighter ships that come out of the
This was the cool
space.
part for me because the TIE fighters come out and
X-Wings.
X-Wings. TIE fighters are the bad guys, right?
Yes.
Yeah, sorry. The TIE fighters have been awesome.
Are you okay, Jack?
No, I'm all right.
Do you feel okay?
No, I'm okay. I just zoned out on that one. I'm sorry. X-Wings come out and it is Rebel pilots.
Yeah,
and it's awesome.
They have the orange visors. I mean, it looks like A New Hope.
Yeah.
I got
And that's
chills.
who it is. It was cool.
Yeah.
Because we hadn't really seen that.
Yeah. It's
And
been
here
a
they
while since
come.
we've seen
Yeah.
X-Wings. Because
Yeah.
even in the 7, 8, 9, the new trilogy that they're building right now, it's not X-Wings necessarily. They're using Y-Wings or A-Wings. I can't remember all the terms.
Random
but
stuff, yeah.
it doesn't look like the traditional
Right.
X-Wing. Like
Right.
Poe Dameron has one and stuff like that. But
Yes.
this looks like... I mean, just right after the events of Return of the Jedi X-Wings.
Well, and apparently
it was awesome.
The First Order sprouted up out of all this. And I don't know if we'll ever get to a point where we have a show that leads up to the First Order.
All the way. I would love that, but...
You know what I'm saying?
I
Or
would
at
love
least
to
the
know how
birth of the First Order, how it even came to be.
I would love to see that in a TV series.
But I'll say this: we won't know that until next week, 2 weeks now. What is it? Next week when the new Star Wars movie comes out?
Yeah, next Friday.
So next Friday.
This Friday by the time you're listening
once
to
they
this.
wrap that up, and we kind of see where they go with that direction, then we can kind of see where we double back to give us a prequel of those new movies.
Yeah.
And I hope there's no Gungans in it, and I hope that there's no midichlorian talk. Is what I'm hoping for. No midichlorian talk.
Yeah.
In prequels this time.
And then we've already referenced it, but the very last scene that's shot, there's no post credits quote unquote scene in this one. No big reveal about this mystery man or anything like that. The last thing we see is that the team is still alive. That he's basically locked them up on the prison ship.
And they're
left them behind.
Yeah. The coolest part was the X-Wings coming in,
Dude, that was so great.
shooting up that thing because you're that's cool.
They blast that whole thing to bits in about 8 seconds.
They were surgical about it too because they were like, look, looks like they're
getting ready to deploy a ship.
looks like they're deploying a ship, but they were very much like, who cares?
Yeah, just take this thing out and move on.
Because they were going to deploy it and shoot down Mandalorian, right?
Yeah. Well, they're going after the tracking beacon, wherever the tracking beacon is.
Well, no, but I'm saying the ship. The ship he was raising, the
space station?
The space station was raising.
Okay.
They were going to go kill Mandalorian, right? When they were going to do?
The X-Wings? I don't know. I lost track of what you're saying.
The ship coming out of the space station.
Oh, yes. They were going after the Mandalorian.
Yeah, they were going to kill Mandalorian. So.
Yeah, I thought it was interesting how the X-Wing just basically fly right past the Razor Crest.
Well, there's no reason.
The Razor Crest dodges, basically.
Yeah, he had to, because they came out of hyperspace so fast.
Yeah. That was honestly the best part of the episode, and it was the last 30 seconds of the episode. So
Well, very cool. What was your favorite part of the episode, Bill?
the X-Wings for sure, which we just talked about, so we won't go through that again. I loved the look of the new Republic ship and just the costuming, the one guy that's in the control room. I just love all that stuff.
How lonely though.
The
That guy's
nostalgia
by
is-
himself.
I know.
So
I felt
sad.
He probably literally is the only human on that ship, other than the prisoners. I always love watching the Mandalorian take down a room full of enemies in about 30 seconds. He's a ninja, and I love that. And I really liked the best fight sequence part. I thought was the flamethrower to the face. I thought that was very
He
interesting.
was such a beast to that guy. The Burg was such a dominant beast.
That
Now,
one-on-one
I will say,
was a cool
Those
fight
three
scene.
people that are left in the prison at the end, they could come back and be a problem for him.
Yeah.
Like they have
absolutely.
a vengeance now. Like they're gonna get off that prison ship and fly back to.
I don't disagree with you. Here's the question though: who's gonna break them out?
Yeah, no one's gonna break them out.
I mean, the space station is literally in pieces. There's
no one.
It's
left
just
to
space
do it.
dust at this point.
Well, other than them apparently being able to grab they can just grab a prison guard droid's arm and use it to open the cage up.
Yeah. So the only people that Mandalorian actually kills, and it's inadvertent, kind of, not on purpose directly, but indirect. He ends up killing both Ran and Quinn. So like the guy he just saved. But think about this. He brings Quinn. He had this all planned out. So he brings Quinn back to the space station, collects payment, knowing that like within seconds Quinn's just going to die anyways. Like
he didn't care.
I thought that was really cool. Like that he did that.
Well, and that guy,
and it was payback.
He didn't trust Beardy anyway. Beardy is a bad guy anyway. He didn't trust him.
It was definitely payback, and I liked that part.
And he knew that Beardy sent them on the mission, knowing that they were going to double cross him. So
yeah,
he didn't feel so bad double crossing him. So good times.
The only part that we didn't discuss that I thought was kind of cool is we learned a little bit about like the grid, like off the grid ships. Mm-hmm. So they talked about how the Razor Crest is off the grid for both Republic, has always been off the grid for both Republic and Imperial. Like that's why everyone wants the Razor Crest, is that it basically doesn't exist as far as radar goes and stuff like that. Like that ship can literally sneak up on just about anything because they don't have like its signature that ship produces out in space is undetectable by like Republic and Imperial, which is really cool.
Yeah.
I'd like to see them do something with that again. Maybe not this season, but like in season 2, kind of delve more into like what kind of jobs could he pull off with that ship.
Did this episode basically serve though just to show you how much of a BA the Mandalorian is?
Oh yeah,
it showed a little bit more maturing and developing into the kid.
Yeah,
and then it flushed out. I mean, I guess another little pocket of the universe, and let you see the rebels. It had some really cool droids. The droid stuff in it was neat. Like the story is good. It just doesn't fit into where they've been going with the first 5 episodes. This one just kind of goes. I don't know what it would be like.
You know what's also weird? So everything you said is true. Then pile on to that I know we said this a couple times already, but at this stage, at episode 6, it is the longest episode that they've had.
Yeah.
So it's a 44-minute episode, and once you tack on the
it's just
intro
very
and outro,
movie-like.
It is a full episode. Like it feels like without commercials, what a full hour show would be.
Yeah.
And yet we learned very little in this episode about the greater story that's being told. So it was a weird one.
Yeah.
I definitely enjoyed watching it, but at the end of it, I was like, I don't know that we advanced anything. Like I didn't learn a whole lot about what's going on.
Well.
So interesting.
Yeah.
Did I skip over? Did I cover your favorite?
You
moments,
got it.
Or?
No, we've all hit it. Yeah, it's good. Burg.
What do you think the child was going to do to that droid? Do you think he was just?
I was hoping he was the one that did that to him.
So like cause some kind of a blast from
which
behind him or something?
He picked up that mud horn.
That's true. He can do just about anything.
He can do anything. I wouldn't have been surprised had he been like squash and like zero as a can, like a squished can at the end of it.
Right, right.
But
I'm not sure where this season is headed now. Like as we already mentioned, there's only 2 episodes left.
He's going to be next. My guess is, here's my prediction. Next is a big chase by multiple bounty hunters, and he has to hide out on a planet, or he has to be chased and hides out on separate planets or whatever, because Carl Weathers' character is going to go try to come get him, and they're going to send more bounty hunters after him, and it's going to wrap back around. And I could see a scenario where at the end of next episode, the child gets taken from him.
Oh, yeah.
And he has to rescue the child.
That will absolutely happen. I think that's right.
I could see that being the case.
Yeah.
Or I could see a buildup where he has the child at the end of the next episode, but he gets kidnapped at the end of episode 8.
Uh-huh.
And now we've got to wait a whole year or whatever it's going to take to get the next season done.
Hopefully it's not that long. But yeah, I think we have to see the mystery man in the next episode, even if it's the last 2 minutes.
He's got to be who's chasing him, right? So.
Yeah. It's so weird to me that they teased that character in episode 5 and then basically skipped 6.
That's what I'm saying. Like, this is a weird episode because of that. like it was an expected payoff and you got nothing.
Yeah. It'll be interesting. Whatever story is left to tell, they have to tell it in basically an hour and a half. Like there's 2 episodes left, so it'll be interesting how they do that. I think that's all I had as far as future questions. Again, it's hard to come up with questions for what's going to happen in the next episode when this was kind of a waster episode. Like I didn't feel like I was wasting my time watching it, but it definitely felt interlude.
Yeah, my guesses are just. I mean, they've got to do something because they've got 2 episodes left. So
yeah,
you can't have another one of these episodes. People will just be like...
I think it's saying a lot to how much we enjoy the series as overall. That, for me, this was the weakest episode of the 6 that they've released so far. Yes. And yet, I still had a great time with it.
Well, and I think that it's obviously just beautiful. Like, the whole episode cinematically is beautiful. And I also, I like the Star Wars universe. And this is a cool place to be.
Oh, yeah.
So...
Yeah, Hey, let's be honest. Let's go back to a couple episodes ago of our podcast. We were saying a couple episodes ago, we thought the entire series was going to be like this episode. Just literally Monster of the Week.
Yeah.
What bounty is he going to collect?
Yeah.
Who's he going to, screw over in this episode?
Yeah.
So the fact that we're saying that this episode, which we thought was going to be the entire series, is the outlier. We have an abundance of riches right now.
You're right about that. What are some... Oh, go ahead.
Well, before I forget to say, did you know that the next episode is on Wednesday?
They moved it up because of Star Wars. Which is smart.
Yeah, very good. So they are not releasing The Mandalorian on the same day that Rise of Skywalker comes out.
Smart.
So if you're listening to this on Monday, good news, the next episode is just coming out in 2 days. So you'll get to watch it on Wednesday. We'll watch it with you on Wednesday. And then I think we'll probably still record at the same time. So you'll have to wait a little bit longer for next episode. Usually you only have to wait a couple days between watching the episode and then tuning into the podcast, but we're probably still releasing on Monday of next week.
And we're going to talk. I'm hoping by that point I've watched Star Wars.
Yeah,
and we can talk. We can add a nice special talk about Star Wars.
Dude, we're going to have a lot of Star Wars talk by next week. So you are watching?
I'm going to find a way to watch it. I'll find a way
to
watch it before we record.
I get to watch it for free on Friday morning during work hours.
Oh, man.
I have a really great job now. So
yeah, well, good for you.
Yeah.
Good for you, pal.
Yep, they are paying for it. So I cut you off. What were you going to say?
I was going to say, what have you been watching on Disney Plus? I've got one.
Embarrassingly, nothing.
Nothing?
I know. I said I was going to rectify that last episode, and I did not have time. Here's what I did watch this week. I watched a lot of things this week, but I finally got around to watching Jumanji, the first, or Welcome to the Jungle.
The new one, yeah.
Yeah.
The new reboot stuff.
That movie's excellent. I know I'm literally the last person to say that.
No, it's great.
Everyone has said that for the last 2 years, but
well done.
That movie was phenomenal. So I'm very excited to see the new movie. But
we have watched, last night we watched the majority. Miller and I watched the majority of it. Amanda finished it while you were sleeping. It's on Disney Plus.
How about that?
Weird. Anyway, it's good.
That was not a Disney movie when it came out. It was
a Fox entity. So
okay.
Here we go.
Someone was saying earlier today that Home Alone is on there as well.
Home Alone 2 and Home Alone 3.
So those
with
are all
the little
Fox.
kid Alex that we who knew.
So those are all Fox acquisitions, right?
Yep. So they are part of that deal that they got when they bought the Fox Studios.
It's
stuff.
really
X-Men is all on there and all that stuff.
We're in a new world, man. Like where you can launch an app that has a Disney logo on it and watch Home Alone.
Yes. And X-Men.
Yeah, and X-Men.
And the worst TV show ever, the Silver Surfer animated series.
Oh, I thought you were going to say The Simpsons.
And the Iron Man series from the mid-90s.
Have you watched The Simpsons at all on Disney Plus?
I started to, and then a little guy here was in the room, and my wife was like, I don't really want him to watch The Simpsons, so we didn't watch it. It's all good. I don't think I was his age when it came on. I know you didn't get to watch it. You told me that you
were absolutely his age for season one.
But I'm saying I didn't get to watch it then.
No, I didn't either.
I think I was probably 12 when
I wasn't allowed to watch it.
But once I started watching it, I was like, this is one of my favorites. And I like it.
At
the
one
newer
point,
stuff, the newer episodes I'm just like, eh.
At one point, I was starting to binge that show. Like I got through the first couple seasons in like a month, and then I never came back to it. And I don't know why. I really enjoyed the show. So
well, good stuff. Still amazes me. Disney Plus is still amazing.
Yeah,
it's weird. They're gonna have to roll out some other show that's Mandalorian level because no offense to my friend Steven who swears by it now, but the High School Musical series is not cutting it.
By the way, if you have suggestions for what you want us to talk about after The Mandalorian is over, again, we're still kind of looking at the service and kind of exploring some options. So disneyplusreviews at hotmail.com.
Well,
let us know what you want us to move on to in January.
And I'm not ruling out, I mean, it doesn't have to be a series. We can even, there's several movies on there we could watch that week and talk about those movies.
Oh, yeah.
Which would be a very horror movie podcast thing to do. But it's absolutely up for game. It's up for grabs, really.
Yeah.
It'll be fun.
Maybe we watch something on Disney Plus and upload it to both podcasts.
Yeah!
Bringing back H&P.
Woo! Anyway, well, thanks, Bill.
Yeah, this was fun. A weird episode, but again,
But a good episode.
We both enjoyed it.
It's weird.
Next week is going to be Star Wars crazy between episode 7 and episode 9, if, so to speak.
My Ewok costume came in. I'm so excited. I'm going dressed as a
in
Ewok.
costume.
Yeah.
Dude, how many people are just going to be cosplaying as the Mandalorian by like next Halloween?
Woof. It'll be bad too. Like it'll be really poorly done.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Here's one for you. How many Baby Yoda costumes are they going to sell in October 2010 or 2020?
A million.
A million
They're
or
already
more.
starting to buy. They're already starting to really sell. They finally got Baby Yoda merchandise out.
Yeah.
Like they're finally starting to catch up.
Yeah.
They didn't know it would be this big of a stinking deal.
So
he's the star of the show,
oh, absolutely.
which is weird.
Yeah. They literally just changed the name to the Baby Yoda season 2.
Well, they had Family Matters wasn't Urkel, but it turned into Urkel's show.
Yeah. The Urkel show. But
Did I do that?
as far as that,
Actually,
he had that line
to go back. Did I do that? As Baby Yoda looks at his hand.
I did that, did I?
Did I? Did that? Did I?
But yeah, no. As far as merchandise goes, there are some pretty cool Star Wars Black Series action figures that are coming out. You can pre-order them now, but they don't release until May of next year, which is really
Good
weird.
Lord, people.
Think about that. Like that says a lot about manufacturing of action figures.
They're
like
scared.
how long it takes,
and they're worried. They don't know if something's going to work, and so they wait because they have no.
Well, and the word on the street was that Jon Favreau didn't pass along anything to any manufacturer
Which is smart.
of any toys. Like he didn't even test. He didn't even trust Hasbro with that kind of stuff. Like he's like, no one is going to know about Baby Yoda until this series actually releases. We see Baby Yoda in episode 1. Then he gives Hasbro a call. Now it's going to take 6 months to make these action figures, which is a little odd considering that we're in the middle of the
Christmas
holiday season and like those things would be selling like hotcakes.
Yeah.
But that shows you how much he cared about spoilers. And
And also, I don't know that they would have.
can you imagine Baby
Cranking
Yoda? What do they call it? Leaking before Disney Plus launched.
Well,
That would've been
that first
rough.
episode, we didn't even know what this was, so we didn't know about Baby Yoda.
Yeah, Disney, like if everyone knew, I mean, maybe that would have sold more Disney Plus subscriptions. I don't know, but like it leaking in November, that would have been weird, man. Like, just like it confirms, the Mandalorian's going to star a Baby Yoda. It would be like, what?
Yeah, weird. I don't know.
Anyway, I think that wraps it up for episode 7 of Disney Plus Reviews. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for tuning in, for hitting the subscribe button, for rating us on iTunes. Please give us 5 stars. Let your friends know about the show. That's the best way for people to find out about it. Email us at disneyplusreviews@hotmail.com. We will be back, I'm assuming next Monday, normal time, for a Wednesday release of episode 7. I'm sure we'll have a lot to say about Rise of Skywalker as well. Probably if we talk about, here's what we'll do. Here's our promise to you.
Promise.
We will not spoil the Rise of Skywalker in our next episode.
Let's
of Disney
talk
Plus
about it.
Reviews.
Let's just talk about it.
Not everyone's
good
gonna
call.
Honestly, like there's so many sold out shows everywhere. People literally might not be able to see it.
I hope I'm able to.
Yeah. So for people that aren't going to get a chance to watch Rise of Skywalker this weekend, don't worry, we're not going to spoil it for you in the next episode. If we are going to spoil stuff in Rise of Skywalker, because we literally just can't help but talk about it, maybe we'll put that in a separate episode or something like that. Keep it separate from our usual show. Yeah. So yeah, just watch that. Your homework for the week is watch Mandalorian episode 7 on Wednesday, and then come back on Monday for the show.
Yes. Baby Yoda say, do I do that? Did I? Feed me.